we're going to start off on Shattered Temple once again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's introduce our players starting. In the bottom center, we have aLive from Team Fnatic Raid Call. He is a purple Terran, and he's living in Korea right now with the Fnatic team. We talked to Todd, and he says, aLive is, he's kind of hard to practice with because he is so good in practice. Like, he just demolishes people, and that's what the reputation he had for a while as a really good practice partner. But who do we have in the top center?
Well, in the top center, we do have Mao's ThorZaIN, one of the foreign hopes. I think his specialty is definitely Terran versus Protoss. We've seen him take out phenomenal Protosses, Korean and foreigners alike.
Yep.
Probably the most notable TVP win he ever had was his TSL 3 win against Naniwa. That was an epic
and
series.
MC in that tournament,
I should say that.
That was a really great
That was
series.
so sick as well. But his TVT, I don't want to take anything away from it. It's still very good. I've seen him do wonderful builds against certain styles, and he came off pretty strong. One style that I've seen him kind of falter a little bit with is the mech style, where the meching player actually controls that air. If he controls that air, I've seen ThorZaIN actually fall a lot of times. He just is not able, or he has not been able to keep up with that. But I hope he's actually learned it and altered it a little bit. We'll see what he does here on Shattered Temple.
Yeah, ThorZaIN, of course, scouting close air just a little bit sooner than aLive. Now, aLive has very interesting TVT. He's been known to show all kinds of styles, whether it be one base play, which is what he is showing right now in terms of taking up really quickly. He's also, not afraid to macro and play huge, marine tank styles, as everyone really knows about TVT. And so he's able to diversify a lot, and that's what makes him really scary, because aLive is very good at both kinds of styles. And I'm curious to see what he's going to bring, as right now we already see a deviation. ThorZaIN is going for a really quick command center, aLive revealing that he's going for some kind of one-base tech.
Gas first as well, so this is a super fast tech. There's a lot of things that ThorZaIN has to worry about. One thing he can cut out of the books is Reaper play and also Reactor Hellion. Reactor Hellion can be pretty strong against a one-basing Terran that's doing this, and then you just kind of progress into some sort of drop play. That's not really going to be a main threat. You can see a tech lab is starting up over here, and he will be going for Banshees. Now, I like Banshees overall. Shattered Temple is an okay map for Banshees, but ThorZaIN, knowing his opponent, I think he should be able to capitalize off of this. And look at that.
4 racks really quick.
4 racks, wow.
He did this in DreamHack against Polt, and he won with it. So, and the reason why is because ThorZaIN's really confident in his ability to hold off Banshees. He's been really good at thwarting any kind of harass and be able to go for counter pressure and just take a huge economic advantage. And we'll see whether or not aLive can be effective, as his Banshee is just starting right here. And, Shattered Temple is a good map for Banshees, though. Don't get us wrong. There's a lot of airspace to kind of flirt with, or float with, or flirt. Depends on how you choose to.
No thing. One thing about ThorZaIN's build is...
Banshees are flirts, by the way. But yeah,
they are.
One of the things about ThorZaIN is what?
Is that, well, this build, I'm saying. The build actually enables him to be very aggressive in the early game stage. If he can actually get a little bit of map control, he will be able to do a lot here. I like that he's putting down a bunker, playing super safe, but when his Marine count gets pretty high, he's able to force the Banshee to not attack SCVs, because if it's attacking SCVs, he will have a lot of trouble defending the incoming Marine push that is normally pretty prevalent when you're going a 4 racks build.
Wow. ThorZaIN able to catch one of aLive's Hellions, and aLive actually almost lost a second one too. Does manage to back off. The Banshee is... Where is the Banshee right now? Oh, there it is, in the base.
And we'll see how good aLive's micro is.
It's pretty good, let me tell you. Well, assuming he's able to control. Now, keep in mind, these guys, this is a replay series, so they are playing cross-server. And aLive trying to see if he can kite. Very good job so far.
I agree. But it's not able to do the amount of damage that he wants to just yet. But there's a lot of follow-up aggression. As you can see, a lot of units being rallied in the middle of the map. Let's go ahead and check the infrastructure of aLive right now. He is switching back over to Marines. You can see he has his reactor on one of the barracks. And then he has a factory with a tech lab. Interesting choice right there. A lot of times you don't have a lot of gas to work with. So getting a siege tank super fast after seeing your opponent going for this mass barrack style isn't too common. You want to actually get your bunkers up ASAP. Know that your opponent has that, I guess, tech advantage. Or excuse me, he doesn't have a tech advantage because he went so many barracks in the beginning. And then just take your advantage there. Just really develop those initial units.
Little elevator play here from aLive. So aLive taking, you know, a lot of mixtures of styles, but he loves doing this kind of two-pronged pressure. And that's where he's beautiful. That's where he excels. And as you can tell, he's not skipping a beat macro-wise back at home, starting stim. Now, ThorZaIN went for combat shields. Of course, combat shields such a critical upgrade for Marines, able to take 3 shots from Banshees instead of 2.
Whoa.
And oh, what are we owing about?
I'm owing about that stim. I apologize to cut you off like that. I'm just
Totally okay.
It's all natural, you know. It's all natural. No, normally you don't see stim first, because combat shields overall is just the better one to go to.
It's quicker too.
It's quicker. It gives you the timing.
Faster.
Stim doesn't give you the timing.
Stronger, leaner.
I like it. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to catch on to that, Andre, but I had to finish it for you. It's totally cool. At least Kanye's got me. But, you know, this is a follow-up that, again, Polt actually does, and I think ThorZaIN is the most comfortable with it, and he should be aware of this timing. A lot of Koreans have been, you know, experimenting with it, and they haven't exactly been winning everything with this kind of follow-up, but ThorZaIN, last time we saw him go up against Polt doing this in DreamHack, he had managed to hit before stim and actually killed a tech lab while I was researching it. So ThorZaIN, he sees the Marine follow-up, and he knows eventually he's going to have to make a move.
Well, he also knows that most likely his upgrades are before his opponents. Now, I think if ThorZaIN can catch his opponent out in the middle of the map, which he could probably go out there and do something about, then he'll be in a great position. But him staying back like this will give aLive the initiative. So many times I talk about this. It gives him the agency to do whatever he wants when he wants it. ThorZaIN is going to showcase his movements all throughout the game. So know that you have the combat shields upgrade before your opponent. Your Marines are much stronger, and you can go insert pressure in the middle of the map rather than staying back.
Yeah, and we see that ThorZaIN actually just resorting to sitting back and making sure to get a lot of his upgrades. Now, Shattered Temple is an interesting map for TVT, just because it's actually really possible to split the map directly in half just by the nature of things. But the center is also very wide open. And so, Andre, I mean, talk about Shattered Temple. You're the resident Terran player. What can we expect as we start to see this game envelop, especially going to the mid game?
Well, one thing to note is that aLive went for his second factory. Now, the second factory implies that he will be doing some sort of very heavy 2-base pressure. I can't see him doing anything else. All the gas goes towards these 2 siege tanks, or 2 siege tanks every 45 seconds. That being said, I think aLive is just gearing up for this indestructible push, knowing that his opponent is going for a bio type of style. And with that, he's just looking to end the game there. There's nothing much to it. It's going to be ThorZaIN's job to assert himself in the middle of the map, make sure his opponent cannot get there, force those counterattacks every single time. If he ever pushes out, then ThorZaIN's the one that's going to punish his opponent. If he wants to walk across the map, well, my units are ravaging your base for that entire time, and also I know your attack is coming. The key to this is aLive must stay defensive. He must make sure that his opponent doesn't get any successful attacks. And if he can just get a quick win like this, if he can actually be really cost efficient here, then he'll be in a great position to counter push.
Oh, and he's hugging the right side, trying to avoid that siege tank. aLive knows he has to reposition.
Oh my God.
And ThorZaIN finds the exact moment and position to strike. The tank is not going to get siege. This is almost a flashback to the exact same thing, other than the fact that ThorZaIN would manage to take out stim as well. aLive under heavy pressure. And aLive, is he going to lose his commands there? He might not even do that.
Wow.
A great snipe on the siege tank as well. ThorZaIN is playing very well.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe what we're seeing. aLive just did not have enough siege tanks in the front. I don't know why he kept so many siege tanks behind. He had like 3 siege tanks just defending against drops.
Oh,
you can see this. ThorZaIN is just the master of splitting Marines and making siege tanks virtually worthless. Wow. And now the Marines are inside the base. The naturals cleaned up. This is perfect play coming out from ThorZaIN, and almost an inevitable win.
Yeah, aLive is now down to 60 supply. ThorZaIN still strong at double that. And Fnatic aLive now back into a corner. This is a thing we don't usually see out of him. The IPL 4 champion calls GG. ThorZaIN takes game number 1 and the momentum in this best-of-3 series.
God. I cannot believe we just saw that.
Well done.
I cannot believe we just saw that. ThorZaIN attacked straight into what I would call the biggest strength that aLive had, which
he was playing into what he wanted.
Exactly. The siege tanks. It's like, please come into me. That's what he's asking for. So I can counterattack you. You have no way to actually harass me, and then I can just absolutely destroy you because my siege tanks are in great position. But ThorZaIN finding some sort of weakness with 3 siege tanks, 1 on the high ground, 2 on the low ground, and he just split his Marines and played it beautifully. I could not believe that happened. Now, if all 3 siege tanks were closer to that front, ThorZaIN has no chance of doing that. That's why you only leave 1 siege tank in the back. But aLive didn't even do that. My God, I have such sick chills from that game.
Yeah, ThorZaIN also utilized his scans very well, making sure to patiently wait at the proper time to strike. ThorZaIN showing why he deserves to be the DreamHack champion thus far, but he still has 1 more game to prove it and take the series. Thank you so much to his sponsor of that game, Kingston HyperX, providing memory and SSD. Calm down. We still have 2 more games potentially left. Kingston HyperX for providing memory and SSD here at NASL Season 3, as well as their general support for esports. Check them out at kingstonhyperx.com. We'll be back with game number 2 in this TVT series. Who will take it? Will ThorZaIN close it out? Find out after these messages.